Okay, as I'm recording this, the boys' series finale is hours away, and I need to cope. I know I will need to cope because okay, I'm not doing this rewrite of the whole season 5 because I like fan fiction, but the show was very promising for 3 seasons, and at the end, it became a big part of what it mocked because this last season was clearly about setting a whole cinematic universe. So I will not touch anything in season 4. I will only start with 2 changes already been made. At the end of season 3, Queen Maeve dies because there's no character that might be coming back or not throughout the whole season. And at the end of season 3 also, Soldier Boy stays on the loose. And also there's no Old Father. We're not gonna bring in a new character that's interesting near the end to do pretty much nothing with them like that. Of course, there could and should be more changes than what I'm about to make here, but I did this on the fly in a couple of hours. It's not perfect, it's not subtle, it's very probably too expensive, but they should have put some money in the show, more than they did for the last season, I think. But at least it ends. And if you like that, you can subscribe, leave a like, share, comment, give your ideas, because of course, otherwise, why do it? Here we go, my rewrite of season 5 of The Boys. Episode 1 stays close to the existing season 5 setup. So the world is already sliding into Homelander and Vought domination. The boys are still trying to operate inside a collapsing political landscape. Everything happens the same. Also, A-Train's death. The major background differences are the ones that I've mentioned before. Maeve is dead, has been dead for a while. Soldier Boy is on the loose, traumatized, unstable, potentially dangerous. No back in Homelander's fridge thing. Okay, so episode one was the same pretty much. Episode 2, we started the changes. The boys run the Teenage Kicks mission and test their soup-killing virus. And it works, but only against lower level or mid-tier soups. Kimiko gets infected, she appears to die, but then regenerates, comes back to life, just like Soldier Boy did in the Kripke timeline version. I'm gonna call this the Kripke timeline, just so, the multiverse idea could help us cope also. So it turns out the virus can do damage, weaken, or kill some soups, but soups with strong regenerative or resistant biology powers may survive it. In the same episode, there's essentially all the relevant moments from episode 3 in the version we all saw. So my episode 2 ends with Homelander brutally beating Ryan. And just like in episode 3, Ryan survives but leaves wounded and alienated from his father, but not magically retrieved by Butcher. This thing of having the characters appear right after some major event, very conveniently. It's not a card we're gonna pull too much. So, episode 3. The boys realize they need Soldier Boy because his radiation blast can devour soups. Of course, they didn't want to risk finding him, hunting him down, but now, no more choice. So here he becomes their anti-Homelander weapon. Meanwhile, Homelander learns that V1 can grant immortality. He does not know about the virus. He wants V1 because it fits his god complex. Homelander finds the last 3 V1 syringes, there's 3, and injects 1. Keeps the other ones, maybe for Ryan and someone else. He fantasizes of fantasizes about having a partner and being a god, Trinity, something like that. So there's no walking around in empty rooms and filler episodes, just Homelander at his most coldly terrifying, dogged, focused, like a bloodhound on a trail, and helped with Sage, who won't risk too much lying in his face when questioned and asked for actual practical solution oriented thinking. So now the boys, they managed to steal the remaining two syringes. One of these syringes ends up on during the Soldier Boy confrontation. They probably give one to one person and the other to another one, so they get caught or killed or whatever. The boys track Soldier Boy, but he's still not a full-blown villain. He's rogue, shell-shocked, as he says, and trapped in his trauma. So he's dangerous because he doesn't properly perceive reality. During their attempt to capture him, Soldier Boy, panicking, kills Frenchie with a radiation blast. So Frenchie dies episode 3. In that commotion, is exposed to some kind of interaction between V1 and Soldier Boy's radiation. Instead of being depowered, he gains powers, super strength, and extreme durability. So he's pretty much our Luke Cage now. Because, yeah, I think season 5 did dirty. So, fights Soldier Boy. Because Soldier Boy killed his family and has now killed Frenchie, has every reason to kill him. But he understands that Soldier Boy is also broken and lost inside his trauma. And pure retaliation feels beneath him, and it is. So, Mother's Milk beats Soldier Boy, incapacitates him, but does not kill him. The boys then place Soldier Boy in a containment fridge that Frenchie had the time to build before they went on their mission. So back at Vought Tower, Homelander kills Sister Sage in this episode because Sage was too dangerous to keep alive, not needed for recreating V1 anymore, and Homelander feels like he no longer needs a strategist now that he's got immortality. And then he kills Firecracker for the same reason that in the aired version, pretty much. Killing her then removes the last tiny bit of restraint around him. So, in this version, by the end of episode 3, Frenchie's dead. has powers and might be one of the most powerful soups. Soldier Boy is captured but unstable. Homelander has injected V1. Sage and Firecracker are dead. So it feels like the endgame is already upon us because that's the last season of a show. That's how it's supposed to feel like. Now, episode 4. The boys attempt to use the virus against Homelander. Kimiko, grieving and enraged over Frenchie, agrees to deliver the virus because she believes she can survive infection and regenerate again. And she also she just wants him dead, doesn't really care about living or dying at this point. The plan is not to kill Homelander outright then, the plan is to weaken him long enough for Starlight, Butcher, and MM to attack him together. Starlight does not leave the team and does not go to her father's house ever. So, the boys infiltrate Homelander's place and launch the attack. Kimiko infects him, but the virus barely weakens him. Cannot defeat Homelander alone, clearly, but he can survive Homelander's lasers. And he uses that durability to protect Butcher at some point, while Starlight saves Yui from being cut in half. But as Homelander escapes, because he doesn't really have the upper hand here, is still a bit weakened by the virus. So as he goes, he's lasering away in a panic, reminiscing to the Herogasm episode in season 3. And doing so, he kills Kimiko by lasering her head and her upper body off She cannot regrow from that. That's the end of episode 4. So at the end of episode 4, we got now in this episode, Kimiko is dead. Butcher and Starlight are infected and fighting for their lives because they got in the fight with Homelander, they got contaminated. We also have Homelander that survives and becomes more terrified and enraged. So now the boys are pretty badly depleted. We're going into episode 5. Homelander fully embraces the religious godhood cult angle. He wants to be recognized as the new god of America. But people, because he kills the president. But when people do not submit completely, he loses control. Instead of a huge success, his godhood announcement is a shit show. He kills some journalists and people in the crowd, turning his earlier fantasy of lasering a crowd into a reality. We saw that, I think, in season 2. The army attacks him. Homelander responds by calling for a new world order where supes rule over ordinary humans. Many supes join him out of fear or for the power grab. They crush the army. America begins turning into a soup-led fascist state, propaganda, camps, mass terror, religious worship of Homelander, and Homelander as the divine ruler. Meanwhile, Butcher and Starlight are still fighting the virus. MM and Huey try to keep them alive. Butcher tells them they need to find Ryan before Homelander either corrupts him or kills him. He tells them not to do it for him, Butcher, but for the memory of Becca, to which he promised that he would protect Ryan. Butcher tells Starlight that she is not her powers. Her strength is not her light. Her strength is her ability to love and her love for Huey and Huey's love. He also says that Huey is stronger than him, Butcher, than he could ever be, because Huey can love in a way Butcher never really could. Butcher also believes he may be able to reach Soldier Boy to have a broken man to broken man talk and bring him back to reason. So they end up finding Ryan, and Ryan eventually joins them. So now the group is facing a complicated choice because they still have one syringe of V1, the last one. They could use V1 on Starlight. They could use V1 on Butcher. They could split it in two and risk it not working. They could use Soldier Boy to depower both of them, which may cure the virus, but would leave Starlight powerless and Butcher powerless and dying from cancer. So that episode ends with Soldier Boy awake and reasonable, ready to depower Butcher and Starlight if necessary to heal them from the virus. Episode 6. Homelander travels through the United States preaching his new soup order. His appearances lead to massacres, roundups, camps, public terror. He's now a full-blown tyrant. He sends the Deep and Black Noir to find and kill the boys. He also orders Ryan to be killed because Ryan is no longer a son to reclaim. He's a threat now. So at the boys' base, they still have not solved the Butcher Starlight problem. They're working on it. The options remain bad. Soldier Boy can depower them, but that strips Starlight of her powers and leaves Butcher dying. V1 could save them, but it is unstable, and they risk a horrible death. Splitting V1 may just fail. However, giving V1 only to Starlight may make more sense because Butcher's powers might have a better chance of resisting the virus. Before they can decide, the Deep and Noir attack. So the fight splits the group in two. Butcher, Starlight, and Yui deal with the Deep. Ryan, MM, and Soldier Boy fight Black Noir. Noir is clearly the real threat. He can take huge hits, he can fly, he can fight tactically. He badly incapacitates Ryan, who's still not fully healed from Homelander's beating. And MM and Soldier Boy fight side by side. Their personal confrontation already happened in episode 3, and MM already won, so that is kind of settled. So now this is simply an easy battlefield alliance. And on the other side, fighting the Deep, Butcher uses his tentacles to hold him in place. Starlight then grabs the Deep and French kisses him, forcing the virus into him. This, of course, mirrors what the Deep did to her in season 1, but it is not played as a cool revenge gag. It's ugly, it's brutal, it's morally dark, it's a bit shocking to Yui, but it feels deserved. Butcher then throws the Deep aside and collapses. The Deep is now coughing, spitting blood, and not looking good. Starlight moves towards the Deep to finish him off, but she collapses before reaching him. Noir informs Homelander that the boys have been found, that Soldier Boy is with them, and that Butcher and Starlight are probably dying. Homelander becomes emotional and enraged that Soldier Boy, his father, is with his enemies. Noir gains the upper hand against MM and Soldier Boy by flaying them up and dropping them into maybe a barn, but or anything interesting in terms of piece of location. However, he was about to fly them into a power plant or a volcano somewhere, but the two alphas, while in the air, managed to punch themselves free from Noir's hold. MM survives because his durability is insane, but he is knocked out. Soldier Boy is in a worse shape. So yeah, MM is stronger than Soldier Boy. Noir finds the Deep dying from the virus. Because Noir and the Deep have been at odds, just like in the Kripke version, the Deep taking credit for things Noir did or helped him with, trying to win Homelander's favor, and the Deep killing the director of Noir's play. Noir finishes the Deep off by crushing his face. Then Black Noir moves to kill Butcher, Starlight, Brian, and Yui. Starts with beating up Butcher, but Ryan wakes up, sees Noir about to kill Butcher, which enrages him, activates also the good memories he has with Butcher and the memories of his mother, a woman who Butcher loved and who loved Butcher. Ryan destroys Black Noir, lasers him in half, then throws the two halves away. No way Black Noir's gonna recover from that. So now, Team Boys, we have Kimiko and Frenchie dead, Starlight and Butcher half dead, MM incapacitated, Soldier Boy badly injured, Ryan weakened, but having accessed a greater strength through rage, and Yui being Yui, protected by plot armor, just with a little dirt and a bit of blood on his face. Team 7, we now have Sage, Firecracker killed by their boss's hand, and Deep and Noir killed by the boys. Homelander is now spiraling, being a full-blown tyrant, slaughtering, sending people to camps left and right. Now, we go into our penultimate episode, episode 7. MM wakes up. Soldier Boy also regains consciousness, but he cannot move. Turns out he's less durable than our black Superman right here, and he notices that. MM stands over him and says that he could leave him there. He would not even have to kill him. He could simply abandon him, and that would be well deserved. But Homelander is going insane, and Soldier Boy may be the one person who can stop him. So MM decides that no amount of deserved personal revenge matters more than stopping Homelander. He picks Soldier Boy up and carries him on his back, despite being still a bit hurt himself. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the type of mensch MM is. Butcher is doing somewhat better on the other side. Starlight, not so much. So, the V1 question still here, but Starlight brings up Mary Moreau from Gen V. Mary may be able to heal them with her blood powers. She does not fully control her abilities, but she is extremely powerful. Starlight had tried to contact her and learned that she is being held in a camp. So they need to break Marie out, and if she can save them, at least she's a very powerful ally. And so about Marie, turns out that she had been separated from the other Gen V kids who were being held in different camps. When she was captured, she fought hard and tore through many soups, but eventually exhausted herself. And maybe we saw that in a previous episode, or we're seeing it in a flashback right now. I think in a previous episode it would be better. So because of how dangerous Mary is, she is put in a special solitary confinement. So now she becomes the new strategic focus because she may be able to save Butcher, Starlight, and Soldier Boy, or help them heal faster, and also be useful against Homelander. As the boy embark on cars and trucks to find Marie, Butcher gestures towards the deep and says something like, him and Starlight are clearly tougher than this bozo was, and they're still contagious, so the others need to keep their distance. They might be still contagious. Meanwhile, Homelander tries to reach the deep, and Noir, no answer. He understands that both are probably dead. He gathers more soups and summons Ashley, who's now president. He tells her that he realized something. Ashley can read minds, so he asks her why did she not tell him about Sage's betrayal. Ashley and finally finds the courage to tell him the truth. She tells him how scared he is, how fragile he is, because she can hear his thoughts. She explains that there are surface thoughts, the thoughts people know that they're having, and deeper thoughts, the ones that are always there, knocking on the door of the consciousness. Those deeper thoughts matter way more. And in Homelander, even though it doesn't take a mind reader to see his deeper thoughts, those deeper thoughts are the ones of a terrified, psychologically and physically abused boy underneath. The child who wanted what every child rightly deserves: care, attention, to be listened to be seen, to be loved, not experimented on, not tortured for science, not kept alone in a lab. Ashley looks genuinely moved by that boy. She then asks Homelander what that boy would say if he saw what Homelander has become. Homelander is clearly hit by this. For a moment, he's moved. Then, he suddenly goes cold and blank. Ashley can no longer read anything, either in his mind or on his face. And Homelander says, that boy's dead. And he lasers her head off. So, back with the boys, now they're about to move toward the camp where Mary is held. Soldier Boy initially refuses to come, saying he deserves to rot alone. Yui calls him out, telling him to stop playing the tough guy. He says everyone can see how much Soldier Boy hates himself except Soldier Boy himself. Yui tells him that he is on the good side of this now, whether he likes it or not. They have lost 2 of their people already, 2 flawed people just like all of them, but 2 people that they loved and who gave their lives for this fight. So they need to end this fight, and they need him And then Yui adds, looking for something that might hit harder, and you should quit being such a pussy. Soldier Boy comes with them. On the way, they're stopped by a dozen of mid-tier soups. The group fights through them. Another display of his durability strength. Butcher and Starlight also help, despite being in bad shape. Yui takes a gun, contributes tactically. Ryan mows them down easily. And there's a character beat where Soldier Boy sees Ryan's violence and power and taps Butcher on the shoulder, saying something like, see, that's my grandson. That little rough love I gave him probably helped. So that's reference to Soldier Boy's fight and treatment of Ryan at the end of season 3. Butcher punches Soldier Boy across the face and replies, "This is not how you make strong people." And that little moment is a reference to Butcher's own father, who believed abuse made Billy strong when his brother Lenny was too weak to live through it, and the father treated that as a point of pride. Because I think there's an episode in season 2 where Butcher confronts his father and is about to kill him because of that, you're strong and your brother was weak, you should thank me, kind of stuff. So Soldier Boy takes the hit from Butcher because he knows Butcher is right. Episode 7 ends with them arriving at the prison camp where Murray Moreau is being held. Now, episode 8, series finale. The finale begins with a major action sequence at the camp to break Mary Morrow out. They manage to do so and free the other prisoners there. Mary joins them. They move towards the White House. They need to stay quiet, abandon vehicles, change cars, avoid detection, kill a bunch of spy soups along the way, and keep moving while Homelander's regime searches for them. During the trip, Mary works on healing the injured and the sick. She successfully heals Butcher and also Starlight, even though it's a little harder for her. She partially heals Soldier Boy, but now she's very tired. Soldier Boy is not at full strength yet, but he's functional enough to stand and walk. Yui still has one V1 syringe on him, and discreetly he injects it. He feels a bit sick during the trip, says he's gonna be fine, and the reveal is saved for the White House battle. Yui has become a speedster, ironically echoing A-Train. The 7 heroes, because now the boys are 7, walk towards the camera as Homelander hovers above the White House with a large group of soups behind him. The boys plow through many of them. Yui's speedster powers are revealed as he enters the fight. The battle is large scale. Homelander has many mid-tier soups around him, and the team has to fight through them to reach him. Homelander attacks Ryan first and hurts him badly. Ryan's no longer his son to reclaim. Ryan is now a betrayer, an obstacle, and a threat. Butcher, enraged, manages to restrain Homelander just a few seconds by blocking his body with his tentacles. The team then coordinates to physically restrain Homelander long enough for Soldier Boy to charge his devouring blast. They go at this one after the other. They get rid of a few mid-tier soups, then go at Homelander. So first, because he can resist massive damage, gets his arms around Homelander and one arm around Homelander's eyes, so Homelander cannot laser anyone because he can laser away. It doesn't even pierce through MM's skin. It hurts but nothing more. Butcher uses his strength and tentacles to help restrain Homelander. Yui helps restraining Homelander after having dispatched a lot of mid-tier soups very quickly thanks to his speedster powers. Marie uses her blood powers to hurt and weaken Homelander. Ryan, on the ground, barely able to move, lasers Homelander from a short distance, adding pressure to his biological father. Starlight unleashes a huge blast of light that burns away the surrounding soups, and Soldier Boy charges his depowering blast. Soldier Boy releases an enormous blast that depowers Homelander and MM, Butcher, and Yui because they were right there in the radius. It also depowers a few of the hostile soups that were behind them. Starlight, Marie, and Ryan are not depowered because they were not in the radius of the blast. And Mary, Ryan, Soldier Boy, and Starlight are exhausted but still conscious immediately after the blast. The few remaining hostile soups, well, Ryan gets back up and lasers them because they are soup supremacists, still trying to continue the fight. Yui, and Butcher take turns punching the depowered Homelander in the face. Homelander panics, screams in pain, maybe even cries, and so yeah, that's the final reversal. Homelander, who built his identity on his powers, on being untouchable, is now just a mortal man being beaten up by the very people he terrorized. Butcher is about to kill him, but Ryan, Yui, Starlight gently stop him, all gathering around him and holding him. Homelander begs Soldier Boy for help, calling out to him as his father. Soldier Boy looks down at Homelander and says something like that in his life he really did one good thing, and it was at the very end of his long life he helped stop Homelander. And Soldier Boy then dies from exhaustion, holding Ryan's hand, being able to tell his grandson that nothing matters more than doing what's right, even when it just sucks. But instead of saying sucks, he said even when it just fucks. Because this is Soldier Boy. Homelander is then arrested, imprisoned for life for crimes against humanity. He goes insane in prison because of his loss of his powers, of worship, of his status. And also, it's as if he's back in the rooms he was imprisoned and experimented on when he was a child. So the world begins to reconstruct after everything Homelander destroyed. The remaining boys heal and build lives after the war. Yui and Starlight are married. They have a daughter, Kimmy. Butcher got a new dog, a French bulldog he named Frenchie. So now Terror has Buddy. Butcher survived and lives because Marie healed the cancer along with the virus. Ryan doesn't live with Butcher full time, but he's got a room at his place and he's there quite often. Ryan and Marie are still good friends. And Soldier Boy is internationally viewed as a hero. The surviving boys find that a bit overblown, but ultimately deserved. And there's a monument to Soldier Boy, Kimiko, Frenchie, and all the direct and indirect victims of Homelander and his regime. And that was my rewrite of season 5 of The Boys. As I said, the goal was to give proper endings to the characters' journeys, to that story, while honoring its goal at first, its its spirit too, without falling into jokey, funny stuff. Because it's the last season. It's some serious shit. And yeah, I'll probably post that. The time to edit it and everything just when the finale drops. If you like this, please share, comment, subscribe. There's tons of stuff in here that could and should be improved, but to me, it might become a canon in my own mind. And see you next time.